hope it's on. Yes, thank you. Okay, dear friends, it's time to continue after lunch and to the second session. My name is Pauli Kuosmanen. I'm CTO in TIVIT, and I will chair this session entitled Digital Services in Finland. So we will have 4 relatively short talks, including questions here, and then we continue with coffee and chance to see the demos and posters there. But I don't want to steal time, so let's start right away. So the first talk is about the ministry perspective. Kirsi Miettinen, Head of Internet Services Unit from Ministry of Transport and Communications. So please.
Thank you. Hello, Pauli. As said, my name is Kirsi Miettinen, and I come from the Ministry of Transport and Communications, Finland, Communications Policy Department. A few words about our ministry first. It's a small ministry, around 150 employees, and we in the Communications Policy Department, we are a very small number of people, only about 30. We have been divided into 3 units, 2 of which are dealing with the markets, Communications Markets Unit and the Internet Services Unit, and I'm the head of the latter one, Internet Services Unit. And then we have a 3rd unit that is dealing with the basic services of the electronic communications. I'm going to talk about the KIDE smart strategies in Finland. And KIDE comes from 4 Finnish words. The first is growth, actually, so the rest is almost the same: innovations, digital services, and evolution. KIDE also is a kind of a crystal shape in Finland, so it means something. And here the question is, are the digital services Finland's key to future success? This has been kind of a leading star for the whole project of ours. The origin of drafting these smart strategies lies in the current governmental program that is stating that all the ministries must perform this job by the midterm of the governmental period, which is about now. And say something about 18 months ago, it was decided that the coordination of this project will lie with us. And we started to think amongst ourselves. We have a coordination group there, of course. What is actually meant by smart strategies? What's the added value compared to various digitalization strategies, for example, that has been carried on for a number of years already? This is mostly the overall, the so-called big picture of this job that we have been doing together. First of all, it's quite clear that there's kind of a confusion amongst us. What shall we invest in the future? We have been seeing a transformation period, especially within the ICT sector, that is quite strong. And now the question is, have we seen the ICTs already, and what will come next? And the confusion is not only a Finnish phenomena, it's all over the world. And the researchers tell us that there's no need to be so confused, because we can learn lessons from the past. And it's quite clear that what we are living through is a 3rd phase of the industrial revolution, or the 3rd industrial revolution, how you wish to put it. The first we had steam, then we have electricity, and now we have digitalization. The phase we are living in now is the end phase of building up the digital infrastructure, and it's estimated that in Finland it will be accomplished by 2020. By that time, it has taken 25 years when comparing to electricization, for example, which took about 50 years. It's a common phenomenon, that's what the researchers say, that in this end phase of the building up the infrastructure, there will be declining numbers in the productivity. And that's how it can be explained that this transformation phase of the ICT sector that we have been facing. But we strongly believe that now it's time to invest again in the ICTs, because we are living now in a period when we will see how the digitalization will start changing the whole society and the organizations. For example, the work as we currently know it, it's under huge changes. There will be no more occupations where you don't need education, for example, because there will be smart robots to take over that. And even us lawyers, we are not safe because, well, the digital brains will be much more effective in going through huge amounts of information, for example. When we had very hard economic times in the beginning of the 1990s, we had kind of a national agreement that we should invest in the ICTs. I would pay a lot if I knew how this agreement really took place. And well, my wild guess is that maybe it just was hard work. You had ambassadors in every corner of the society on various levels telling the same thing. We should invest in the ICTs. And it really was worthwhile, since half of the productivity growth that took place between 1995 and 2005 was done with the ICTs. And now we are claiming that now it's time to move on the next level, so to say, and not to talk about technical ICTs, but the digital services. We know for sure with ICTs that those who run faster, those also pick the most fruits. And that's the hard part, because we can take the opportunity later on, but there will always be some costs to pay. And now, if we take this opportunity now, we will really have the opportunity to gain more. Digital service culture. This is something we in the KIDE Smart Strategy Coordination Group think we should really aim for in Finland. It was already stated here earlier on today that we Finns, we have been very skillful in the techniques, and even in the real life, this service culture is not really something we are good at. So we will definitely face challenges when we are trying to achieve this goal. But our common understanding between the ministries is that it's necessary. We have set ourselves a target. Finland should be the world's smartest system. There's no specific date for that, but hopefully as soon as possible. What does this aim consist of? First of all, it consists of this aim to be number one in the world. You can always question whether that is sensible or not, but we strongly believe that it's a matter of putting a mindset. If you wish to be number one, something good has definitely have to come out of it. Then we are speaking about systems. This is something that has to do with the ICTs originally, so it's kind of a clever in that way as well, but what we are really looking for is building up and strengthening the existing ecosystems. We know for sure that, for example, now that we would wish foreign investments to come to Finland, that they are looking for ecosystems. And I'm very happy to hear that and know that one such ecosystem has been building here in Kajaani. Then smart, being smart. This is something about changing the way of doing things. We definitely have a lot of things to do within the public sector, but we do believe that the way of doing things is another thing that has to go through the whole of the Finnish society. And we aim in the end for intelligent and definitely customer-oriented, interoperable digital services. How this is going to be done? It was quite clear from the very beginning when we started with the drafting the smart strategies that we would not aim for traditional paper strategy which is drafted and usually soon afterwards forgotten. But what we aim for is a living project that develops under the time. The various ministries have their leading roles on their various sectors, but and we do wish that as we are speaking today, by today, they would have kind of a starting point in their smart strategies. But that's not where the work really ends. It's where it starts. We know, for example, that, well, of course, you have to take the various projects forward, but the next challenge is, of course, for example, scaling. How will we scale those projects and how will we produce ready products, for example, for international markets? So we decided that what we should do is practice-oriented and pilot projects. What will be achieved by them? The 3 bullet points on above is something that especially concern the public sector. New perspective. We have been traditionally doing things from upwards, and now we should change it to a bottom-up approach. Silos. We know for sure that we have had heavy transboundaries between the ministries. Digital services area is such that the division of powers is very divided in Finland, and for that reason, for example, it's very hard to build up a common understanding what we should do next. With these pilot projects, we hope that the silos will be at least a little lower, if not vanished. Swift starts. There have been a number of projects that took years and years without a proper end result. We would wish that this would be history gradually, and also the public sector would start producing ICT projects step by step, and also testing beta versions and so on. Customer orientation and second chance, this is something that has to do with the whole of the society, Finnish society. Customer orientation relates to this whole concept of digital service culture. But second chance, it's been very hard for us to start over again. Entrepreneurship in Finland has been a very hard way to take. And now we know with these digital services that maybe 1 or 2 ideas out of 1,000 will fly. So definitely there's need to be allowed to not be succeeded. And navigating in the fog. This is something that we believe the public sector has to take a stronger role than so far. We have been producing legislation and we have been producing policy guidance. But what we need now is kind of future-oriented information, how we can know which of these phenomena of the table or even technical inventions, which of them will have some potential to fly in the future. Okay? I know, only 2 minutes. I will skip the last 2 slides and talk about Experimenting Finland and Open Finland. These are the two branches we sort of found will be the core of our piloting projects. Experimenting Finland, we believe, or we hope that we should have a reputation as a country that allows experiments. For example, in our ministry, we have the ability to grant experimental licenses for new services in the spectrum management. And now I know, for example, that we have a new experimental network for 4G in Espoo, and this is something we wanted to achieve. It was possible even in Espoo, even though it's not very sparsely populated. And Open Finland, open source, has been one of our strengths, should be even more so. Thank you. If you wish to read more, especially about the KIDE projects of Ministry of Transport and Communications, please take a look at our blog.
Thank you, Kirsi. I'm really working in a ministry. So this was not a typical ministry talk. So
thank you. It must have been a compliment.
Yeah. Okay. Any questions? So don't leave. If there's somebody willing to ask. It depends on how long I should.
Sorry, I thought we don't have any time for questions.
Well, 1, 2, nobody.
Yeah.
Are you so shocked? Yes. Cool. It was perfect throw from me, but.
I know, I'm a bad catcher. My name is Koski from VTT. I would like to ask about these pilots that you mentioned. So how do they work? How can we be the pilots somehow, or what is the procedure behind them?
Yeah, all of the ministries have chosen their pilots. There was this slide speaking about the overall themes. The ministries have picked their themes. For example, we have 7 altogether. It's quite a large number. Open data, green ICT, cloud, research cooperation, for example. And then we have those concrete pilots under those terms. And well, from our pilots, if you have some interest of them, you should take a look at the blog, because it tells about those pilots that we are running in our ministry. Now we are putting together the materials from all the ministries right now, and well, I can promise you that we shall publish them at least through our web pages, but also ask that the other ministries would do the same when this material is put together.
Chance for one more question if there is. Okay, thank you again, and here's something for you to read. And the next speaker is my boss, TIVIT CEO, Reijo Paajanen, and what's the title? Something about speed, speed and digital services, yes, as always.
Speed. So, good afternoon everyone here. Ladies and gentlemen, it's nice to be here and see all of you here. Here I have the magic tool as well. So, in my presentation I will try to paint you a big picture what we are trying to do in TIVIT, how to influence in this society, to accelerate the service development, and that's why this title is very good for me. But in this situation when we have just this shock evaluation out there and there is lots of discussion, I just want to comment a couple of those issues as well. So as you know, TIVIT is one of the shock companies. We are 6 together, 6 different shocks for different verticals. In TIVIT we have been focusing on this, actually we have been maintaining this our mission mission from the beginning. We are speaking about the ecosystems. Everybody else is nowadays speaking about ecosystems, so soon we need to change that. But anyway, the story behind this, why we are speaking about ecosystems, is that even in 2008 we saw that technologies are changing quickly, but the winners are those who can take the leadership in business ecosystems and who really can utilize the existing technology in such a way that they are taking the market lead, and that's in that spirit we created this kind of mission. In TIVIT we have created more different kind of services than any other SOC so far, and we have 4 of them, and others are still in the early phase with the research activities, mostly with Tekes funding. And just for your information, you are familiar with our research program portfolio. I just want to mention that Logica decided to be sold to a Canadian company, and Canadian company then decided, or they didn't understand the value of our concept, and they left their role as a driver company, and we are happy to say that currently Tieto is taking the driver company role in data to intelligence program, and that's the news here. Also the news is that actually there could be more this kind of programs. This parallax is something we don't have money to run it under SOC concept, that will be funded by Tekes separately, but that's indicating that there's willingness and need to use this kind of SOC concept even wider than what we are able to do today. These numbers, what we can indicate on this slide, they are rather big. Annually in these research activities we are at the level of 50 million euros per year. That's a meaningful money. But the one thing was in discussion related to this evaluation is that this is something new money. That's not new money. This is redirected money, or this kind of money where we have the steering power in TIVIT, how to use that, but it's not a new money. And in such a way the discussion what we can see in the public papers currently is a bit misleading, because it's not about the size of the money and the money allocations from that point of view, but it's the steering mechanism, what we are using here in SOC concept when we are steering the money utilization and how we run those research programs and these kind of things. And that's completely missing. That element is missing from the public discussion. Also this money is this kind of pre-commercial money, meaning that you shouldn't expect direct commercial products or business results coming out of this. Our role is to create competence so that companies can grow and create new businesses and then workplaces. Certainly we are hopefully, and we are in this value chain, but the result expectation from SOC should be on this competence creation side, not the final results. And in our activities we have plenty of companies, currently 150 annually roughly. We have 12 research institutes, universities, VTT, whatever, and there are more than 1,000 people in our society doing this research and development work here. And the large companies are acting as a driver company. So then the second key element in this evaluation I would like to put is that this should be the whole concept should be part of this kind of public-private partnership arrangement, where we are using with the steering mechanism 2 funding sources, Tekes funding and then the Academy of Finland funding. This Tekes funding is working very well. That's how we have reached those results. This Academy of Finland funding that has not been working so well, and there has not been this kind of similar active model development in Academy of Finland, as we have seen in Tekes and so on. And actually, one way to put it is that in Tekes model, the private money is a bit more than 40%, and then there are universities joining the activities with 10%, and then Tekes is adding that 50% is roughly. But in the case of the Academy of Finland, the company money, the private money is zero. And then the Academy of Finland is using their tools and methods in steering of those activities with that money, and certainly then the outcome is something like this. So this is repeating the message that with Tekes funding, this model is working. With Academy of Finland funding, this is not working. And then certainly you can ask that how much you are expecting to have a steering power with €0. Well, that's exactly the point. If we are not active in this public-private partnership development such a way that this one back. Oh. So that there are real changes in this cooperation, then nothing is happening, and this has been known for 2 years for the whole evaluation period and so on. The problem is that the public discussion is about the evaluation results, and we have in the report we have good results, we have good data, but the discussion is not really adding any value to this development, and this should be our own innovation system development, what we are speaking about here. How we have been using then this our steering power in TIVIT is illustrated here. When we started in 2008, we were very strong in this mobile and telecommunication paradigm, but then we selected to go to the second, this kind of paradigm to start to build the strengths in that area. And now we can say that we are speaking about the digital services in internet economy. That's the new focus, that's the new competence, big competence area where we have these kind of new competencies like cloud computing. We are speaking about that today here, and that coming from the computational side, not from the telecommunication side. What we have done is that we have moved our research activities to this new paradigm, and now we are in the phase to build the new businesses out of that. And this fourth is related to this as well, because our big, let's say, market picture is something like that we are saying that all the services in our society, they will be digitalized. There is a huge opportunity for our ICT companies as well, but there we need also good cooperation with public service side, and that's why this public-private partnership is rather interesting element here in Finland. We should be further developing this, how we are proceeding with this innovation system. And then this fourth is this kind of scaling tool for us to accelerate this digitalization of the services in the whole society, when everything is moving towards service-orientated business models. Also, we had an, let's say, extra evaluation in TIVIT in the ICT field by this ICT 2015 work group, and their conclusion was very same as was TIVIT's conclusion already earlier, that with digital, it's important to increase the capability for services with digital solutions in all the business and public service areas. And here we have the force is really having the role in this. Also, the big reason why our society should be proceeding quickly here is here we are losing industrial workplaces all the time in Finland, and luckily we are also getting this kind of, let's say, research statements and results from academic side. So something with the let's say the fonts and the texts when we move this to what happened now. Okay. Thank you. So there are plenty of opportunities to do export out of these digital services, and that should be the focus for us because we are losing the industrial workplaces. So thoughts and then the speed in digital service development. Janne Järvinen already used this slide earlier. I don't need to explain that, but the benefit and the great opportunity what we have here in TIVIT cooperation is that really we can have those research programs which are contributing to the latest knowledge and competencies to this force environment, and then we can scale that to the use in other industry verticals with our model. And I think this is very unique also globally. And what force is, Jari will tell more about this. This is one of the slides what we have been using a bit more than a year, but it really aims at the speed in service development, but there we have opportunity to go further from the pre-commercial phase also to this kind of service development phase. We don't yet know what's going to be at the end of the development, the balance between those things, but we hope to see both of them around force. But certainly the important thing is that force is not going to be the production environment for services. For production you need to move the services out from this development environment, and that's why we will build interfaces to commercial services as well. And here you can see some of the, let's say, the summarizes of the functionalities what we are building to this force now. And also I want to underline this element. We are building and doing this force in cooperation with CSC. That's also underlining this cooperation between the universities and industry, but also the cooperation between industry and public services. So we hope to see that this is serving all parties in Finland. We made a bit more than a year ago this kind of proposal that the government of Finland, actually luckily with Ministry of Transport and Communication, we have been able to proceed rather quickly with this proposal. That we proposed 4.5 million at that time funding for this. Currently we are in the situation that the Parliament has accepted this kind of funding which a bit for this force is a bit below 4 million, but we have accepted in TIVIT, we have been recalculating the things such a way that we can do what we have promised to do with that amount of money, and this is also in good cooperation with this KIDE, which is this number 3 here is actually very much related to this what Kirsi mentioned already, these KIDE activities here. And there we are actually in a tough competition globally. We are not alone anymore. Taiwanese companies are also, actually Taiwan is investing heavily. So this is the news is about this one cloud computing platform, but this is telling the story. In Taiwan they are investing in 10 cloud computing environments for different sectors, and the investment is somewhat bigger than our investment now. So we need to proceed fast to compete with those guys. And the way how we are aiming to proceed fast is that if you go to, I hope that you know Taltioni, I don't have time to go deeply in that, but Taltioni is this kind of a semi-commercial service in the area of health and well-being and this kind of data and services, and they are building building their ecosystem, something like that. Sorry, this is in Finnish, but this is from Taltion directly. So the ecosystem building is something which is also important element when we are proceeding here. And then the second thing what we are doing in Force is that actually we are moving from this App Store model. Everybody knows this App Store, Apple or Android or whatever. We are moving to this kind of service store model. The business models are different here. The way how to organize the ecosystem, that's different, and so on. So that's our aim to be there in this with Ford Service Lab to be in this category. Certainly, then when what's going to happen on the marketplace is that the advanced players they are going to play with both of those elements, but our focus is on this side in our activities. And there we need to build in this R&D environment, we need to build this ecosystem, and that's built in our plans how to implement the whole thing. But this really is not the only ecosystem we need to build. We need to, let's say, facilitate and act like catalysts so that we can see several commercial services coming out of Finland, and they have their own ecosystems around them. And then the aim of the Force is to orchestrate the whole setup here that we are really going to see also interaction between those, and then this is the way to really accelerate the development of society-wide service creation. I hope that this was clear enough to communicate the way. Really, it's building of this kind of big ecosystem building effort to make change happen in Finland. And why we think that we can do is we have done it once. These are numbers from the how TIVIT has been developing the revenue. We used, from our point of view, this funding what we are getting from the Ministry of Transportation and Communication is this kind of ramp-up funding, and we did have the similar ramp-up funding from Tekesport, this whole SOC operation, where we have been able to build this kind of society already. Now we just need to repeat this, learn from the past, build it faster and around the sports, and that I think that we really can do in Finnish environment quickly, and include your cooperation with between companies and the universities and the public side as well. So that's my presentation quickly.
Thank you. Questions, comments for Epa? Kaarina is in the mic there. Anybody? You made it very clear, but still I don't give you the book. You know we have very tight budget in TIVIT, so sorry for that. But thanks anyhow, great presentation.
Thank you very much.
And the next one, it's a brave man coming, Kimmo Koski, CEO from CSC, and the title is so brave. How do we save Finland with data services? Interesting.
Yes, good afternoon. So yes, the target is to save Finland, and I have 20 minutes time. So 1 week ago it probably would have been doable, but now we had this, on last Thursday there was this frame budget negotiations in the government. So I guess the challenge is a couple of billions larger at the moment, but yes. Okay, but let's think about this as not necessarily solving of everything, but maybe a good start to at least get something done. There is some opportunities here. Okay, so I'm talking a little bit about underlying infrastructure, data centers, etc. Even though the topic is data services, but I mean one of the reasons for that is that actually if you are willing to do some services and let's say cloud services, data services, that requires that the underlying infrastructure is efficient, cost efficient, and high quality. Otherwise, you will not be able to deploy these services. So I think the baseline is very important here. I will use CSC, not surprisingly, but I will use CSC as an example, having that in mind that even we are talking about a specific environment, it's not that specific, so everything that is done at CSC can also be done in other places like industrial companies or so on. And then in the end there are a couple of good suggestions to address the topic, at least in some part too. So why Finland? These are known facts, actually borrowed from Invest in Finland slide set. I mean, we have a pretty stable ground here for all kind of data services. Okay, I learned to know that a few weeks ago that we actually have some earthquakes, but they are that small that you don't really notice. So, and also for the companies outside Finland, is well, we speak English. That is well, okay, and we can also have this built-in encryption, which is called Finnish. But in most of the cases, you will get a decent international service here. So there are many ways, many reasons why data centers and the data services built on data management is a good target here in Finland. Okay, there are additional reasons for that. I mean, we have been talking about this for several years, ever since Google came here, that there's a number of reasons why that is efficient. I'm not going to go through all those because of the time limit, but obviously this is very well established here. So here are some of these examples. You know, it's Google here. So you will visit, or most of you hopefully will visit this area in the afternoon. This is a Renforsinranta. Well, if we run out of paper factories, I mean, there's or unused paper factories, we can have a greenfield. We can build new ones, not paper factories, but data centers. So there are a lot of possibilities here in this area. I think there was Helsinki Energy build a data center under the Uspensky Cathedral in Helsinki and reusing the heat. They got even some prize award of it. So this area has been in a quite high focus lately in Finland, and we have actually already done something. Although, of course, there is room for more. So, does an efficient data center guarantee high-quality data services? So, obviously not alone, but there are these elements that are required. So, if we can make a superior underlying infrastructure, we can decrease the usage of electricity, and at the same time we can decrease the cost. Then we have a much better possibility to compete in those services also on top of those. So it's many things that count. It's not only of course the data center, for example. If you can have a whatever system in place in one of these paper factories somewhere else, but if you have, for example, inadequate network, it doesn't help a lot. The same way, if you have a very efficient hardware, but you have a lousy software, then you actually don't gain anything either. So it is an entity that is very important. So it's a holistic view is in this providing of these services is necessary. And one of the reasons, or for example, we heard discussion in this after Ken Dukatel's talk, for example, is when we calculate this in EC, for example, all of these or many of these things. It should work backwards, but yeah. Many of these things actually are in the different departments. So I mean, Horizon 2020 will have a major challenge in order to build them together, so we can actually build these services all together. But of course, that's one thing, and but we can still do that in Finland. So we have possibilities in this room. There are a lot of people who are involved in many of the sections of that are required for building services. And so through our collaboration, I think we have a chance to succeed. CSC as one company who is actually addressing the whole stack of these things, but of course that's only one. obligatory slides about what we are doing, but mostly you know it. But I would say that one of these, the most growing services at the moment in the research side or in our at CSC is the data services for science and culture, and not only for science but also for the cultural side. Museums, libraries, etc. have a growing need for that. Okay, so some slides about this case Kajaani. For your information, you will see some of these later. But for example, at the same time that we are building a data center, there is quite decent hardware being installed and making this computing side also competitive in European scale. So this slide is a bit encrypted, so it's in Finnish, and but you see this. The room being built, which now today is ready, and it includes the Cray computer. So that was a 1-year construction project, and then there's other one, this where we have a air-cooled container where it says SGI here, but inside there are HP systems. So these are the two. The container is made by SGI and the systems are from HP. So these two systems you will see today, and they are the working horses for the Finnish computing side, and also the cloud services that was mentioned by Reijo is mainly working in this cabinet at the moment. So with these HP services. So we can do a lot of things at CSC, but sometimes we run out of skills and competencies, and then we need to use higher expertise and higher intelligence. So one of the most difficult things, of course, was how do you find the names to these supercomputers. So we used the local school kids for the naming competition, and that's why we ended up to have Sisu and Taito. You know, here are 6 school kids and 1 CSC employee. You can easily notice how do you know who is from CSC? Is the one, of course, who have less hair. So after this competition, there's the Cray system became it's called Sisu, which is in English it's guts. I think the direct translation. And of course, when you have five kids at the same time proposing this name Sisu in the same class, you will start thinking about that this is something called copying, which I think at school it's forbidden. So okay, after the school it's allowed once again. It's called consulting. But anyway, the reason for that we had a thorough investigation, and there is a natural reason for that because in their alphabet book there is a cat called Sisu who is going around, so it was a quite natural guess. So these 6 kids are the ones whom we have to thank about these names. Okay, so and data center is opened last October, and actually the PUE figures, the efficiency figures, even better than mentioned here. But so what is the impact of services for Finland or for CSC? I mean, and so of course, as I mentioned, if we are able to build cost-efficient data centers or the ICT environments, I mean, this is something that is not limited to university use or CSC in general. So this is one example. Other people are also doing the same. And of course, this kind of environment, either here in Kajaani or somewhere else, is a good platform for building larger collaborations. And there are some examples of those already. So that is something. So you can pool the resources together and actually share cost and also share expertise. At the same time, there are world-class computing resources available for the Finnish research. I mean, the new supercomputers, and the next year there will be an upgrade which is already also ordered and confirmed. And this will make this Kajaani center one of the most performant, computer-wise, most it's not at all limited to be used by research only. I mean, it's big possibilities for industrial collaboration, etc. And of course, if you talk about computing at the same time, you talk about data. So data services, computing services all together is something that we have a good possibility for those. Okay, then of course we have the cloud environment for this cloud seminar, and Reijo already mentioned about this Forge will be using the cloud here in Kajaani, and this is really interesting because, and for many ways. First of all, of course, it creates a collaboration between academia and industry, but also is something that has not been done in so many places. I mean, we can build around it a real ecosystem which actually can serve both the academic side and the industrial side, because after all, ICT needs are not that different. And also possibility for a number of innovation solutions on top of the data center services. Here are some of the examples. I mean, already today during these breaks we had interesting discussions how all kind of possible ways of adding business around simple data centers or simple data services. I mean, for example, using the Finnish construction skills and energy management skills and making an export product out of a data center and sell it to Saudi Arabia or South Korea or somewhere. It's not an impossible idea. I mean, actually, it's very interesting idea. I heard that there is Kajaani, for example, the people who are thinking about it and actually putting together these kind of collaborations. We can also think about all kind of both product development, research activities or ICT services on top of data centers and on top of this kind of environment, so on. So it's a bit about your imagination, what kind of things you would be able to boost with these data services in Finland, with this growing need and let's say growing focus importance of it. By the way, how many minutes I have time, or is it already minus? Okay, that's just right. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to wrap up even in advance because there's room for questions. You know, I heard that in Finland you usually after presentation you get a lot of questions, and well, I prepared. So if you don't have any questions, I have a couple of tough questions for myself, which I'm going to ask, and then we have a debate. But anyway, I still have 2 slides before finishing. So first of all, what can we achieve with data services? Okay, there was already quite a lot of data, quite a lot of things listed that we can achieve. Despite some of these earthquakes we've had with Richter class, I think 1 or 2, so it is pretty robust place to store data here in Finland. It's not only because of cliff, but also because of society and educational system and so on. So we haven't had very many revolutions either lately, and also in some cases it's important to well, at least in some services is also even a legislation that data needs to stay inside European Union. So there are a lot of good grounds of thinking about having this comparison as Switzerland for money and Finland for data. So that has been stated in a couple of places already, and I think this is not an impossible dream. I think it's something that really can be happening. And information, as we all know, is growing importance of everything. So we should not miss these opportunities, and I think all of us we can do something. And here are some partly obvious topics, but also so at the moment in Finland, even though we have a good grounds of developing these things, a lot of things are very distributed, scattered, and one of these examples is, for example, the state data centers. I mean, what 200 of those all around Finland. I think Tietoenator, when it was still Tietoenator, they made exercise and ended up consolidating their data centers, and I understood at least that I talked to these people and the savings were huge. I mean, 100 million plus, etc. So there is a lot to gain in this consolidation effort if it's done right. And of course, through that we can. With this example, I mean, universities, polytechnics, all the companies have probably the same thing. But aiming at better usability and cost efficiency, and also access to expertise, which is limited in many ways. I mean, the better usage of person skills can be a key through these kind of exercises. Okay, talked a couple of times already about higher investment in training and education activities. So we have lack of people. We don't necessarily have lack of space, but we have lack of people. So training systems should be also following their time. There are number of training, let's say university and polytechnics, who have changed at least partly some of their curricula to address the new needs, but this is far away from adequate at the moment. So it's a lot of things need to be happening here. And of course, now when we are in Finland, we usually talk about technology, but if we are able to proactively move from technology towards talking about deployment of new services and actually user benefits, then I think we can be more successful. And of course, as a final thing, is last but not certainly not least, is the collaboration in all levels, and this is something that I think TIVIT and also Forge can input in. Okay, so I think that was basically it.
Thank you. Let's give a big hand to Kimmo. Okay, now questions. Did you believe in this story? Can I challenge him? Comments? Well, if I... Okay, there's...
Hi, that is a big vision that if we would like to have Finland in the home of data. I'm interested about why anyone should care about Finland, because we are really at the periphery area. And do we really have any added value here in Finland regards to global markets in data storage, or is it just a speech?
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, I think basically nobody really would care unless we are able to do it more efficiently than in other places. So that's why I, in the beginning, tried to talk about a little bit about the underlying infrastructure. For example, the data centers. So this is of course the base. So people would come here not because of the cliff only, but because if we can provide the services more cost efficiently and let's say also more reliable than others. Some of these examples could include, for example, why CSC? We have 2 machine data centers and also services on top of that in Espoo at the moment, and now we decided to come to Kajaani. So one simple reason is that even if our data centers are pretty modern there, we will still save something like 20 to 30% of the electricity, because here with the cold climate and modern data center, you actually use much less energy. And these figures here in Kajaani are, and in other places too in Finland, are top class in that sense. Well, would say that guessing about, for example, state data centers or municipalities data centers, which are not necessarily expendable and 5-6 years old, for example, you could say that it might be 40 to 50%. The further you go to the Europe in south, I mean, this is of course more challenging. The warmer climate gives some kind of challenges, and then you talk about serious money. Half of the high-end computing cost, for example, maintenance cost is usually electricity, or approximately half. So you can talk about millions, so tens of millions annually savings. That's one of the reasons. But the other thing I think, which is as important, is that why Finland is that the cost is one thing, but the other thing is that usually, in many ways, data is the real value. Is not the machines, not the data center. The value is there in the data. For example, medical data or bioinformatics. The data is much more valuable than much of the rest of the infrastructure. And then there is an importance that you can store it to a place where you actually can predict what happens to the in the country. Like we have democratic system here, and we have a quite reliable reputation in Finland, for example. That will add on. It is not alone enough, but all these combined. I think I could give you two hour this hectic talk about how nice we are in Finland, but maybe I stop here.
Okay, yes, please.
I paid Rene for asking this question. I already guessed it.
Well, okay, so I for one buy into this argument that you have a competitive advantage, and I see this move as a paradigm shift within how to do computing. I mean, moving the hardware away from the actual research and the other things which use this hardware. So far so good, and the competitive advantage is of course, yes, your somewhat cheaper electricity, or rather cheaper electricity, as well as your ability to manage all these levels of complexity like you had in your slides. And this is of course a huge advantage. But as we heard earlier, there was a lot of opposition to this, if I may stick with this word, paradigm shift. This opposition is often this concern about the security we heard, and this about that it's not on national ground and so on. But probably a lot of these arguments are just proactive and defensive and are not real honest when it comes to the core of the thing. But some of it is. But I see another challenge, and here comes my question, that is the socio-psychological dimension of any paradigm shift. I mean, people will become out of business here. People will lose their jobs, and these people cannot be expected to support your paradigm shift. So many of your customers will have support functions and parts of their organization which will oppose this and not be in favor of this, though management might, of course, see your price tag as very tempting. So how do you see this problem, and what do you plan to do about it?
That
is if you agree.
Partly yes. So of course there is also the psychological topics are very important here. For example, if you try to pursue people to consolidate their IT activities, and then at the same time these people in the company feel that okay, if the consolidation happens, they will run out of work. Then it's of course not the working discussion. So, but fortunately, more and more today there is people looking for efficiency, and it's not that I think things. So I think there is a way of handling these kind of situations also in such a way that the outcome is also psychologically good, because the other possibility, of course, if we are running out of the competition, is even worse. But you're right. All these arguments are there, and they should be calculated, taken into account. And in some cases, I mean, there are also maybe more valuable to keep the expertise or in-house, or take care of the security-related issues in such a way. Many of the companies, for example, don't want their data to leave the company building, for example, and that can be important and always a choice. But there is, in addition to those, I think there is quite a lot of possibilities also for these kind of things to proceed.
Okay, thank you. We must go on, and here's some reading. The title is Wild East. Perhaps that's a reference also what kind of opportunities we have just for the data centers and data services, database services near us. Okay, we already heard Repa's vision about Forge. That's CEO vision, and now I ask Jari, Juopperi, and Erkinheimo, who are then the ones who should implement it to tell the truth, what is behind the Forge. So after this CEO high-level vision. I don't know what kind of dual show you will have, but do not start arguing, please. This is public event, so...
We are a seamless team.
So
now I got the...
we agreed that Pia is going to control
Press
the
the button.
slides.
And the button is here. Excellent. Okay? First the video.
Mikä on kilpailuvalvonnan korke?
Palvelupäin korkea on paikka, jossa hyvin erityyppiset toimijat voivat avustetusti kehittää digitaalisia palveluita palvelun määrittelystä tekniseen toteutukseen asti.
Korkea on ehditty jo kritisoimaan aika tavallakin sosiaalisessa mediassa esimerkiksi. On ajateltu, että nyt ollaan keksimässä pyörää uudelleen, että eikö tämmöisiä palveluita ole olemassa esimerkiksi Amazonilla. Mitä vastaa tähän kritiikkiin?
Nämä kaupalliset pilvipalvelut ja tarjoajat, niin kuin mainittu Amazon, niin ne tarjoaa palveluita tämän digitaalisten systeemin toteutukseen, työkaluja lähinnä siihen vaiheeseen. Ja Korke tarjoaa apua myös näiden palveluiden määrittelyyn ja tekniseen suunnitteluun. Tällä hetkellä me emme tiedä, että olisi toista vastaavaa tyyppistä konseptia olemassa.
No minkälaisia hyötyjä tätä Korkealla sitten tavoitellaan?
No, konkreettisesti yritetään saada aikaan semmoinen ilmiö, että mahdollisimman suuri joukko yrityksiä, yhteisöjä ja julkisen sektorin toimijoita oppisi, miten digitaalisia palveluita rakennetaan alusta loppuun. Ja sitten tietysti semmoinen kauaskantoisempi tavoite on se, että saataisiin tämmöistä kansainvälisesti kilpailukykyistä palvelukehitystä, sitä kasvatettua ja yhteiskunnan läpinäkyvyyttä ja toimivuutta parannettua.
Mitä kaikkea pitää ottaa huomioon, kun rakennetaan digitaalisia palveluita?
No meidän kokemuksemme mukaan osaamista liittyy kyllä tämän digitaalisten palveluiden suunnittelun ja kehityksen eri vaiheisiin. Sitä on kyllä olemassa, mutta tavallaan tämmöinen kokonaisvaltainen alusta loppuun hankkeen läpivienti, siihen liittyvä osaaminen puuttuu. Ja me tietysti toivotaan, että täällä Korkeassa voitaisiin auttaa sen osaamisen synnyttämisessä ja paikata niitä aukkoja, joita näiden erilaisten osaamisalueiden välillä on syntynyt. Voisin kertoa esimerkkinä yhden tämmöisen opetusteknologiaa kehittävän palveluyrityksen, joka totesi, että he osaavat kyllä itse määritellä ja suunnitella ja toteuttaa tämmöisen palvelun siihen asti, kun on noin 10 000 käyttäjiä tällä järjestelmällä. Mutta jos puhutaan 100 000 tai miljoonista käyttäjistä, niin sen jälkeen heidän osaamisensa loppuu. Ja he toivovat, että he haluaisivat pääsivät tänne Korkeen kehittämään tämän mittakaavan järjestelmän.
Pia Erkinheimo, kenelle Korke on tarkoitettu?
Korke on tarkoitettu kaikille, joita digitaalisten palveluiden kehittäminen kiinnostaa. Silloin nämä voi olla esimerkiksi yrityksiä, tutkimuslaitoksia, oppilaitoksia, julkisia toimintoja, startuppeja, mutta niin, että aina olisi sellainen yhteinen tekemisen kohde ja jaettaisiin avoimen innovaation periaatteen mukaisesti osaamista.
No kerro, mitä siellä Korkeassa oikein tehdään?
Siinä vaiheessa, kun palvelua mietitään ja määritellään, niin siinä vaiheessa palvelumuotoilua tuetaan. Sitten sieltä löytyy myöskin sopimukset, jotta pystytään toimimaan avoimesti. Siinä vaiheessa puolestaan, kun lähdetään toteuttamaan palvelua, niin sieltä löytyy hiililaskentaa, sieltä löytyy teknistä tukea ja sitten sieltä löytyy se yhteisö, se joukko, jonka kanssa voi näitä asioita miettiä ja toisia parhaillaan. Tämä olkoon kutsu tehdä yhdessä digitaalisella palvelulla. Okay, without further introductions, I'm Pia, and there you saw me standing in front of Kiasma in Helsinki.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Once again, my name is Jari Juopperi, and I'm from TIVIT, and it's my pleasure and privilege to lead the ramp up and building of
Forge Service Lab at TIVIT.
So the theme is, let's roll up our sleeves. I'm emphasizing now all of us, so not according to the agenda where we discussed about your sleeves, it's our sleeves.
So before we go to the actual description or detailed description of Forge, let me just set the tone of the discussion with these fundamental questions that we have listed here. I had planned also certain short answers to these questions, but fortunately most of them have been already answered earlier today. Reijo and Kirsi and Kentukadel already addressed certain things that really explain why these questions are fundamental. These are questions that at least those of you who haven't been involved in the development of Forge should probably think before trying to understand what we try to achieve with Forge. My previous experiences suggest that these are the key things you probably need to understand before you really can understand what we try to achieve with Forge. So the first question is why it is relevant and important to create digital services. Well, the short answer is that there is a kind of a boom of digital service business going on right now, and of course it would be very useful to get involved in that wave of change. Then the second one is what is the attractive digital service? Well, it's a service that once you use it, you want to use it again and again and again. There are clearly such services, and on the other hand, there are services that even though you once used these services, you don't want to use them again. So clearly there is a difference. There are good services and bad services. What is even more important that there are parties, companies, organizations who know how to do attractive digital services. They have some magic skills or magic ways to do it again and again. And this is something what we would like to achieve in Forge. So we would like to reveal these skills and processes, how these attractive services are done. And the third thing is more technical one. What is a scalable digital service? In our world, we just mentioned that well, it's something that doesn't require re-engineering if you scale it up, meaning that if you have 10,000 users and then you suddenly have 1 million users, you don't need to re-engineer the whole infrastructure. That's what we mean with the scalable digital services. And of course, as already said many times, the ultimate goal of the whole thing is to try to get a share from the digital service business that is globally nowadays available.
So, there is something that resonates very well with me because my home country and religion is open innovation, and that's why we are inviting you all here and people online to join. So it's about openness, it's about big data, it's about democracy. I hope it's not about overwashing. It's about serendipity. It's about indeed trust, and it's about understanding that open innovation does not mean that something is to be sold cheap or for free. So that it also means that where there is a chance, there is a possibility to monetize the common foundings, and it's fairly defined who owns what. So that's also part of the open innovation. And Forge Service Lab is a place where the code of behavior is based on open innovation. The second thing that is behind Forge is about the evolution of service as a concept, as a definition. And this has indeed intrigued me during my first 6 weeks working at TIVIT with the phenomenon. And it's really about the understanding of the change of services, how we define services on 21st something that you can't store it. It has to be consumable. You have to know the customer and the interaction that is created in service. When we enter the era of digital services, we actually understand that anything that can be delivered through information structures such as internet, that's a digital service. And there is always something, at least for the time being, there is always an intermediary things in the service experience, i.e. The device, what's the dominant logic and physical interface of that, the network, the accessibility, and all the way to the cloud computing if needed. So this makes the understanding how we explore and consume services a bit different. Just the fact that often when we do beta testing and we throw the service and see how people are using it as business beta, so we don't actually know our consumers, our users, and we learn to know the consumers, and the consumers, the users know that their behaviors, their data, my data is my currency. And then we continue to the intelligent services, where the trading and the value arenas vary a lot. There can be transactions that are worth millions and millions, and yet for me as an end user, it may appear that I suppose I'm using it for free. Let alone the dreams that I don't even dare to dream yet, and I'm not competent potentially to do that either, is the immersive services that utilize these multiple ecosystems, which creates then different and very complex business arenas. So what I've learned, at least during the time I've been a part of the workforce, is that the ecosystems or the way the earning logics are getting more and more complicated. So putting that as part of developing a digital service, I think the only way to make brilliant, world-class services is to do it together via open innovation.
So let me just briefly show you a few things about the Forge offering. So when you try to understand what we really concretely build on Forge, it's good to divide the creation of the service to a certain phases. So there's a service design, service development, service deployment, and then the service is ready when it's realized, the end user consumes it. And we use this as a reference model when we explain what we do in Forge. So the basic idea here is that you spin around this circle and develop your service iteratively, and when you have spinned enough, then you are ready with your service. Okay, and then if we go a little bit further and try to contrast or explain what we do in Forge, the ultimate goal is to help you, those parties who come to Forge, to create new digital services from the concept creation to the scalable implementation. And we do it, we call it kind of an assisted learning journey where we help the service developers in those phases where he, she, or the party feels that they don't know how to do it. And the basic idea here is that we go through the whole path from the beginning of the end. Or in fact, here we spin around in this circle in an iterative manner. And in more concrete terms, we of course provide service design support, service development support, cloud computing, capacity memory, as already discussed today, here from Kajaani, from the CSC data center. And of course, we provide technical support, and in technical support and other support, we have a local partner, Kajaani Etu Oy, who is doing this part. And of course, then there must be the end users who consume the services that have been delivered. And of course, we have the contract framework that we have developed and that supports open and transparent use of the resources. and hopefully we already in the end have a community that itself attracts new service developers to the circle, so to say.
And may I say about the raison d'être? Indeed, the idea is that we ensure the seamless transfer from Forge environment then to cloud computing service, commercial cloud computing service providers. And that's why we have been already in dialogue, and much before I joined the team, with several of those who are interested in working so that the services will then also land well to the commercial landscape.
Then we have a few concrete terms what we provide, but I think that Pauli is already standing up, which means that we need to skip the details. But of course, that slides will be distributed to you, and of course, I'm available to further discussions regarding these things. There are a number of details that are related to our concrete offering of Forge.
So let's roll up our sleeves and do this together. And when the time is right, and it is very soon right, there are just some small details still to get right, since this is really indeed a big ecosystem effort to be kicked off in the scale of Finland. So I will be responsible for informing you when you can join the activities. So there is still a couple of details to get right on track with our partners, but after that we are ready to go, and I'm eager to see you all making this happen. So thank you.
Thank you, Pia and Jari. Time is already over, so I don't let them to ask you any question here, but in the coffee area. So we will have a half an hour break. Thank you for all, and hopefully you got the idea that we are really going towards digital services. So the ministry is with us, TIVIT has this vision, CSC is supporting us, and that's where the new money is coming from. We will make billions in the future for exporting digital services. I believe in that vision, and let's just make it, and Forge is a great tool for that. But now, coffee break, there are great demos. Go and check the results that we have been producing in the cloud software program, and enjoy your time there, and come back to hear more.